Imagine meeting yourself 10 years from now. Not the version you dream about, not the version you hope to become, the version you're actually creating. The one built by your habits, your excuses, your daily decisions. What would that person say to you? Would they thank you? Or would they ask why you kept waiting? Why you kept procrastinating? Why you kept saying, I'll start tomorrow? Because whether you realize it or not, your future self is watching. Watching every promise you keep, every excuse you make, every hour you waste, and every step you take. The question is, are you building someone who will thank you, or someone who will wish you had started sooner? Most people think change happens suddenly. One day you're unsuccessful, the next day you're disciplined, confident, in control. But that's not how people change. You are becoming someone right now, with every habit, every routine, every decision. The person you'll be a year from now is being shaped by what you repeatedly do today. If you wake up and avoid your responsibilities, you become someone who avoids discomfort. If you keep promises to yourself, you become someone who can be trusted. Because actions don't just create results, they create identity. You don't become disciplined overnight. You become disciplined by acting disciplined, again and again and again. That's why every small decision matters. Not because it changes your life immediately, but because it changes the person making the next decision. And over time, those decisions create someone completely different. The question is, do your daily habits look like the habits of the person you want to become, or the habits of someone you'll eventually regret becoming? Most people believe their future will be shaped by one big moment, a breakthrough, a huge opportunity, a sudden burst of motivation. But that's rarely what changes a life. Your future is built through evidence. Evidence collected every single day. Every time you wake up when you said you would, you leave evidence. Every time you finish a difficult task, you leave evidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you leave evidence. And your brain notices. It slowly starts forming an opinion about who you are. Someone reliable, someone disciplined, someone who follows through. But the opposite is true as well. Every excuse leaves evidence. Every distraction leaves evidence. Every hour wasted, every task avoided, every promise broken, leaves evidence too. And over time, your brain begins telling a different story. A story that says, I never stay consistent. I always procrastinate. I can't trust myself. That's why small decisions matter. Not because one decision changes your future, but because one decision changes the person making the next decision. And eventually, those decisions become habits. Those habits become identity, and identity becomes destiny. The person you'll be tomorrow is being trained by what you repeatedly do today. There are two versions of you waiting in the future. The first one is stronger, healthier, more disciplined, more confident, the person you dream about becoming. But there is another version, a version created by delay, by excuses, by years of saying, I'll do it later. Imagine meeting that person 5 years from now. They look familiar because they are you, but they're carrying something heavy, regret. Regret for the opportunities they ignored, the habits they never changed, the goals they kept postponing. And the painful part is, they know exactly what happened. There was no disaster, no terrible event, just small choices, repeated every day. Choosing comfort, choosing distraction, choosing to wait, again and again and again. One day, you will become one of those two people, the person who is grateful that you started, or the person who wishes you had. And both of them are being created right now, by what you decide to do today. People often underestimate small decisions, because they don't seem important. One missed workout doesn't ruin your life. One unhealthy meal doesn't ruin your life. One day of procrastination doesn't ruin your life. And that's true, but that's exactly why small decisions are so powerful, because they rarely happen only once. One skipped workout becomes 2, 2 become 5, 5 become 20, and eventually, it stops feeling like a choice. It becomes your lifestyle. Imagine two people. At the beginning, they look exactly the same. Same age, same potential, same goals. But one person decides to read 10 pages every day. The other spends 30 extra minutes scrolling. One chooses a short workout. The other chooses comfort. One goes to bed on time, the other stays awake watching videos. Nothing changes immediately. After one day, they look identical. After 1 week, still identical. Maybe even after 1 month. But after a year, the difference becomes obvious. After 5 years, they barely resemble each other. Because life responds to repetition, not intensity, not motivation, repetition. People see success and think it happened overnight. But success is usually hidden inside ordinary moments. Moments when someone decides to do what matters, instead of what feels good, again, and again, and again. That's how futures are built, not by one heroic decision, but by hundreds of small decisions. Decisions that most people ignore, until one day, they realize those decisions created the person they became. Most people spend their lives trying to impress other people, friends, family, strangers online, people who may never truly care about them. But there is one person whose opinion matters more than anyone else's. The person you'll become. The version of you who will wake up 5 years from now and live with every decision you make today. That person will inherit your habits, your mindset, your discipline, or your excuses. They will inherit the books you decided not to read, the workouts you decided not to do, the opportunities you were too afraid to take. But they'll also inherit every small victory, every promise you kept, every difficult task you completed, every moment you chose growth over comfort. Imagine your future self standing beside you right now, watching you, watching how you spend your mornings, watching what you tolerate, watching how quickly you give up, watching how often you choose comfort over progress. Would they be proud? Would they thank you? Or would they wonder why you kept delaying the life they wanted to live? Because one day, you'll become that person. And when that day comes, you won't wish you had watched more videos. You won't wish you had spent more time waiting. You'll wish you had started sooner, worked harder, stayed consistent, trusted yourself more. The good news is, that version of you doesn't exist yet. They're still being created. Right now, by this hour, by this decision, by what you choose to do after this video ends. So stop asking yourself, what do I feel like doing? And start asking, what would make my future self proud? Because every time you answer that question correctly, you become someone your future self will respect. One day, you'll become the person you're building right now. Not the person you imagine, not the person you wish you were, the person your actions created. And when that day comes, you won't remember every excuse you made, every video you watched, every time you said, I'll do it tomorrow. But you'll live with the consequences of those choices, or the rewards of them, because your future self isn't asking you to be perfect. They don't expect you to transform your entire life overnight. They only ask for one thing: evidence. Evidence that you're trying, evidence that you're improving, evidence that you're becoming someone they can respect. So the next time you're about to procrastinate, about to quit, about to choose comfort over growth, ask yourself one simple question. Will my future self thank me for this? If the answer is yes, do it. If the answer is no, do the harder thing. Because one day, you'll meet the person you're becoming. And when you do, make sure they smile and say, thank you for not giving up on me.